Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, and on today's video we're talking about a fragrance from the house of Guerlain. I am extremely excited about today's video. I have looked at this fragrance collection, in particular this fragrance, for such a long freaking time, and I've never purchased anything from them because they're very expensive. But it's always been a fragrance line that I wanted to introduce into this channel. I did get to do a review on the Iris fragrance in this collection, which I think is now discontinued, unfortunately, because I was given a sample of it and I love it. I loved it so freaking much. If I had unlimited funds and I could go out and buy whatever I wanted at any moment I wanted, I would probably go and check out this collection and buy a ton of them. This collection and Celine are probably my favorite ones, just so you know. So the fragrance that we have here today is Santal Pao Rosa. This fragrance is customizable, just so you do know. This is a 200 ml size bottle, which is $580 US retail. It's a lot of money. This is more than Chanel by $80. But the nice thing about it is, unlike Chanel, you are getting customization out of the fragrance bottle. So you can actually customize the rope that goes around the neck itself. They have multiple different options of colors. You can also customize the top of the actual lid itself. And they have so many different options for the lid itself. You can pick from honeybees to jeweled ones to a lot of different things that you can get for the actual lid itself, which is very, very nice. And you can also customize the seal on the actual neck of the bottle from gold to black. They also offer engraving. I believe it's for free as well. So lots of little different things that make the bottle and the fragrance a little bit more special for that price point we're paying here. The fragrance line as well is that they really set out to make fragrances without constraints, without, actually thinking about, is it going to sell? Is it not going to sell? They really let the perfumer for this collection go out of its way and say, I'm going to create something that's memorable, something that's a masterpiece, something that is going to be revolutionary, groundbreaking, different, and something that has emotion behind it. And I love that about it. I think Chanel's one of the other fragrance houses that does this. It's very rare that a lot of perfumers will get the opportunity to really set out and make their own masterpiece without constraints, without being told what needs to be done, without being given a guidance or an inspiration as to what they need to create the fragrance from. So that's very nice about this scent. So let's take a look at the bottle. So it is pretty big. Obviously, it's a 200 size ml. Now, do take into consideration that this actual liquid has changed over time. It's originally supposed to be a little bit more reddish, and in this bottle, it looks a little bit more purple magenta-ish, which is fairly normal. They're going to change in color as they age, of course. Here is the lid itself, and it has the Guerlain logo on it, and it's the traditional gold actual top on here, and then you get the black rope with the black actual seal on it as well. At the back, you get the Guerlain honeybee, and on the back of the sticker where it says Santal Pao Rosa Guerlain Paris, you do get where it says the mill size, where it's manufactured, the batch code, all that stuff. So very nice quality, very nice packaging. It's probably, I think aside from Celine, it's probably my favorite packaging that I have encountered thus far. This fragrance was launched in 2021, so it's not that old. It's been around for, what is it, 3 years now? So not that long ago this fragrance was launched. The perfumer for this is Delphine Jerk. The fragrance itself is deeply rooted in the historical and beautiful fragrance making of the House of Guerlain. It's actually inspired from a fragrance, although it doesn't specify what fragrance it's inspired from, but it's inspired from a fragrance launched in 1877. Santal Pao Rosa continues the theme of that, and this is all based on Guerlain's website. They do give you a brief on the actual fragrance itself. Another cool thing about this scent is that Guerlain really went out of their way to make a sustainable scent. It's not labeled as a clean scent or a clean fragrance itself, but they have gone the sustainable route. And what I mean by that is the sandalwood in this fragrance is original. It is not a synthetic component. The sandalwood in here in particular is from the country of Australia, and the actual trees themselves, just this is how much time they put into this fragrance itself, require at least 15 years for them to be able to produce the essence of sandalwood. So that shows you the savoir-faire, the je ne sais quoi of this actual fragrance itself and the time that they put into it, which also justifies the price point because they're actually going the extra mile of actually producing things out of raw ingredients, which is very rare in today's market. The notes in this fragrance are going to be oud, sandalwood, rose, myrrh, cardamom, fig, and hazelnut. So we do get oud in this fragrance. I'm going to be honest here. In the past, I have not been impressed with Guerlain's ouds. I tried their, what is it, their like Arabian collection, and they had an oud one in a green bottle and a black one, Santal Royale. Although they're nice scents, they are not the best oud fragrances out there. It kind of seems like the actual French perfume house was trying to appropriate the Middle Eastern culture by grabbing the oud and making it French in some way. But in this one itself, it works very, very well. It actually works in harmony with the rest of the fragrance. It's not a standout note. It's not a note that's trying to be the star of the show. It's essentially just a note that works in harmony with the sandalwood, with the myrrh, with the cardamom, with the fig, and the beautiful hazelnut note in this fragrance. And I have to say, when I first got this and I sprayed it, I was, obviously very excited because I've been wanting this fragrance for such a long time. And I picked up Santal Noir by Dior, and I thought these smell very similar. Then I also picked up Oud Isfahan because Oud Isfahan is very similar to Santal Noir, but they're different in their own little ways. And I have to say, it kind of starts to smell like that when it first gets sprayed onto your skin or onto a card or onto your clothes, and it changes. It actually changes so freaking much. The difference between this actual sandalwood versus those sandalwoods in the Dior fragrances is that this one has a raw, almost imperfect element to the fragrance itself. It's a raw woodiness that you cannot get from any other sandalwood that I have ever smelled in fragrances. It's not rough, it's not too wild, but it's not superly creamy and superly distilled and superly perfected. It's just a fragrance note that is there, that's high quality, you can tell, but at the same time has a raw element, it has a wildness to it. It's almost imperfect and a little bit sharp, if you will, and it's beautiful. I have to say this scent is amazing. I do like it a lot because where it starts to smell like that in the beginning, it changes so much because of that imperfectness in this fragrance. The myrrh in here adds a smokiness to the fragrance itself. Then you get that beautiful, luscious, rich, sophisticated, and sensual rose in this fragrance. But that rose itself does not become the star of the show. It is washed out by that sexy, creamy hazelnut, and it's good. You have some cardamom in here to add a little bit of liveliness to the fragrance, so it's not too heavy, or it's not, choking the room out, or it's not, overwhelming as a fragrance. It's just very well blended. It's very well put together. There is not an element in this fragrance that stands out or that kind of, feels like it doesn't fit into the actual fragrance itself. It all works in harmony. You have those imperfect balances to those perfect balances, and that's how they create a perfect fragrance. Very well thought out. I think that they really took their time to make this fragrance. I'm not just saying it because I'm a fanboy. Clearly, I mean, I can't afford it, so how am I going to be a fanboy? But the scent itself is well thought out. Now, the beautiful thing, and I am a fan of watching Super Dacob. I think his channel's name for perfume is Essentially Dacob. If you know him, then you know him. I will link him in the description if you are not familiar with his work. But he said in a review of a different Guerlain fragrance, there is a sadness in every Guerlain fragrance, and I find this to be true. This fragrance itself is an emotional poem, raw desire, romance, but it's a story of romance that does not have a happy ending, and it is a little sad. There's a little sadness to this fragrance itself. There's a lot of emotion in this fragrance. It's fragrance that they really took time to create a soul out of a scent, which is very hard to do, especially in today's perfumery. We are starting to see fragrances that, are copied and pasted into different bottles. They change this note, and then they have a fragrance for a different brand. They change that note and they have a fragrance for a different brand. And the reason we're seeing that is because we're seeing perfume overall being mass produced by conglomerate companies. So you have companies like L'Oreal, just an example. L'Oreal manufactures now Prada, they manufacture Valentino, Armani, Yves Saint Laurent. They manufacture Byredo now as well. So what they do is they copy and paste. They have the perfumers work on something. There is a brief that they're given, and they're said, it has to smell like this, and that. It has to remind us of this. Here's a fashion collection. It has to fit this collection. And what they do is they come out with the blueprint of a fragrance and they add and take away things to make a different fragrance for each brand. That way, all of them are on trend. That way, all of them are following the trends and all of them are going to sell a lot. And because of that, there's no more soul in perfumery. And I feel like this fragrance really sticks true because it's not that old and it really sticks to that soul and really creates a very beautiful story behind the actual fragrance itself. And because of that, I have lots of respect for this collection. Like I said, it's very rare to find that in today's perfumery. Another brand that does that is Chanel. Well, with their older releases, I don't know if they do that anymore necessarily, but they do have soul in their perfume. The longevity on this fragrance is really good. So I actually sprayed it on for 2 days in a row, and I was like, I don't smell it. I thought in my brain that I couldn't smell the fragrance itself. I was like, it's dissipated. That's, very disappointing, but it's to be expected whenever they use raw elements in a fragrance itself. And then the other day, I put the same t-shirt on that I wore the first day that I actually tried this fragrance, and I was shocked. I was like, who smells like that? Is that me that smells like that? What is that fragrance? It was just the small little remnant, a small little waft of a fragrance that was just very soft and subdued. And it was this fragrance. I was very, very shocked by it because I was like, oh my God, this fragrance is still wearing, it's still kicking. And it's a fragrance that becomes very soft, very delicate. But if you get near enough someone or you walk by someone, you will leave that little trail that is so captivating, even though it's so soft and so subdued. You will leave a trail behind you that people are going to say, hey, what are you wearing? Can I know what you're wearing? And that is very hard to do in perfume. So for this fragrance itself, there are 3 different sizes available. They do offer you a travel size, or not a travel size, but a miniature size set that you can buy to try all of the fragrances. To me, that's kind of a ripoff. If you're asking me, you're getting samples essentially that you would get for free if you bought it at the actual Guerlain store. At the counter, they would give you these little miniatures if you bought obviously enough, but they're charging you for, I guess, like 4 or 5 of them, or I don't remember exactly how many are in the set. But you can get a 50 ml or 1.7 ounce bottle that will retail for $295 US. If you decide to go for a bigger one, which is going to be 100 mils or 3.4 fluid ounces, that is going to be $395. So you're paying a lot of money for this fragrance. It's not cheap by any means. It is an eau de parfum concentration, just by the way. I get why it's so expensive. There's high quality, there's customization, there is beauty, there is soul, there is craftsmanship, and there's perfuming at its finest with this collection. It's just very, very expensive. And I know it sounds like a hypocrite by, saying other brands like Perfume Head or Tom Ford are too expensive. But the difference here is that this fragrance collection actually puts craftsmanship, artisticness into the actual fragrance itself, and they give you quality, they give you a savoir-faire of a perfuming house. Yeah, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on Santal Pao Rosa is. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like this collection? Do you not like it? Let me know all of that information down below in the comments. Also, make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fragrance related content. Until next time, you guys, take care.